Welcome, Meena. Firstly, congratulations
Oh,
on the success of Andro Dreams. I'm excited to have this conversation with a fellow Meitei. How does it feel to have your documentary featured as the opening film for the non-feature section of the International Film Festival of India, making history as the first ever by a Manipuri woman?
it's how should I start with?
Yeah.
It's an amazing feeling, having me for the Indian Sun, and I'm really grateful that Che Indira is talking to me today and is interviewing me. What would I say when Manipur is a small state, and then we push hard, to make do things like so that people hear more about us, like so when I did something wholeheartedly. I worked for around 5-6 years on a documentary, and when it struck the right chord, and it became the first non-feature to open at Indian Panorama, and it made history. Being the first woman from Manipur to do so, it really it carries a lot of I don't know, it's amazing feeling. It's just crazy feeling for me, and it really motivates me a lot to do even better. Yeah.
Talk about the backdrop of the crisis in Manipur, and how
Yeah.
do you envision Andrew Dreams being presented at the Indian Film Festival, and do you feel a glimmer of hope to the narrative of Manipur during these challenging times?
Yeah, like it is really unfortunate, like we all want to especially I feel sorry for elder people, children, all human being affected by this unhabitable violence for past 7 months in Manipur, rendering more than 70,000 people homeless, in a relief camp, huddled in a relief camp, and then more than I'm sorry to say more than 300 got killed in this ethnic violence. And I don't know, it's really sad, it's really unfortunate, but I felt that some kind of positive news, like to come out with my story Andro Dreams would uplift the spirit of the resilience of this human being that we have, despite that we have been thrown into many uh, decades of a kind of separation, and decades of violence and conflict within being Manipur. So I felt that this little story of hope, that I put in the documentary, I thought this would really uplift people very positively. And I was like in a do or die situation, that there has been internet ban for more than 7 months in Manipur, and I have to really juggle around my job and also to settle places where I find internet. And it was so tough to get going, but then that was the only hope I felt, that in this situation only something to bring out some positive news, and in despair some hope. I thought this would really help people to kind of the sense uh, bring into a state, like little balancing state. Otherwise, every day do you hear of violence, every day you hear of people killing, every day you hear of so much of hatred. So it was just my deemed responsibility as a human being to do something, and I only did it with that hope that it would really bring some change, some positive impact to people.
And
Yeah.
it did, yes,
Yeah.
and it really did. Yeah, I mean, your story really, in the midst of all this, really uplifted people's hopes and aspirations. And now, talking about Andro Dreams, can you share the aspiration behind Andro Dream, and the message you aim to convey, particularly in highlighting the stories of women in Andro?
Yeah, like I grew up literally. Manipur is we know that it's Manipur is popularly known as powerhouse of sports.
Mhm.
Like we give like so many numbers of sports person from Manipur, but we hardly go beyond that. Actually, we know that Manipur is a place where they generate so many players and athletes, but literally each and every athlete story is there's so much struggle behind who they are today. So I felt that somebody have to come out, do a story of the struggle behind, the sports people, how they live, how they struggle, how only when they're only recognized when they become an Olympian or a medallion, they're not really been handhold when they really need the infrastructural support and other thing, at that time. So I felt when I met Laibi for the first time in a scheduled caste village, which is like 30 kilometers away from Imphal, a small hamlet village where, most of the people, they are an agrarian community. They are, rice beer brewing community, a very, traditional, a bit ancient, village. And in that place, when a woman like Laibi, who is, who at the age of actually at a retirement age, she was doing much more than any woman at that age would do. And it completely amazed me because I found her doing this, she raised a football club there, for years. And only in 1999, it got registered to Andro Mandal Mahila Association Football Club, Amma FC. Mm-hmm. And she started that club in the hope of helping these young girls and, from going astray into joining, undergrounds or going astray into drugs and, the kind of, the small, like the societal, that impact they were having at that time in the 90s. So all she thought that she would tap the potential of this young girl into sports. Mm-hmm. And that's what she did by bringing up Amma FC. And, and by today in 2023, that Amma FC, has been able to produce more than 150 national, international football player. But
amazing.
But since she's, amazing, right? And nobody knows so much about Laibi Panjobam because nobody have done a story on her so much. Mm. And because I don't know, the world is more interested in politics and war, less of human story. But since I am more into, human story and social issue story, so I felt that, she's an amazing woman and her story is going to inspire many more women and many more people in the world around.
Yeah.
So,
and
it's
beautiful. And I'm not going, of course, not going to discount your talent, but you're also lucky that you are in this wonderful place called Manipur, which is really a treasure trove of stories, isn't it? Now,
totally,
Jay. I want you to talk about this for our audience. In your first documentary, wasn't it? Autodriver, which won the national award in which year was it?
2015. I received the award in 2016.
Tell me about
2015.
And then I did a bit of research and I saw a lot of people had made blogs about it after you, I think, brought out the film. Tell us about Autodriver.
Yeah, again, I call before I would say, I never have ever thought that I want to be a filmmaker in the beginning. It was all circumstances around me. Like, though I have studied mass communication from Madras Christian College, I finished in 2007. And when I got back home, Manipur, there was so much of, conflict and, there was lots of economic blockades, law and order situation. And that time I stumbled upon this woman at a bazaar in Pangai. And she was this small, tiny, the woman with, she was wearing this rug, khaki, green, something. And I don't know, my eyes hovers a lot. I don't know. I keep seeing too many things and I have my eyes on her and I was just thinking that she's very curious, I find her very curious and I followed my eyes and I thought she must be she must be working as a laborer, in some place. And then and when I kind of literally chased her, I found that she got onto an auto rickshaw with full packed passengers, in front and in the back. And she drove off the auto. She was just tiny lady and with all this full packed people in the auto rickshaw, that really was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is Manipur. I just returned from Chennai. And Chennai is also very, quite a liberating place for women in the sense, very progressive. So I was like, wow, like Manipur has also come to a place like where our women are also not fearing any gender disparities. They are not really, thinking that, driving auto is a man's job or woman's job, and she's driving, like against all odds. And that really, kind of, kind of made me more curious to find more about her. And I started chasing her. I started getting to know her. And for 3 years, I followed her. That developed into this documentary called Autodriver. Yeah. They were friends. Like, it was my first debut documentary, and I didn't know how I will do. But that time, there was this small film club at MSFDS called Telecine Foundation. I joined workshop. I'm a very, crazy, I have this anticipation. If I want something, until I, do it, I'll just go behind it until I finish it. So I joined the workshop. I tried to, like had discussion with other filmmakers of possibility of making a story on her. And that's how, and I got in 3 years, I was able to push this documentary called Autodriver. And, I sent for National Film Award, and I could never, ever, like, I swear, it's just crazy when I got a message saying you got NFA. I said, what is NFA? Somebody messaged me. They got NFA. What is NFA? I didn't even get. And then I read. Then they said, "Oh, it's stupid. You got this National Film Award for you." Oh my God! Like, that was my first time, and I got goosebumps. I ran hilltop that day because I'm literally sluggish and like witty, but I ran up to the hill after hearing that news with excitement and all crazy. So so that was about Lady, an auto lady, and her husband was beside her, supporting her fate of driving amidst the conflict in Manipur and amidst the little hope that she has for their children. So that human story have really touched the jury, I think, the people. And also, if Manipur means people will only hear about conflict, people will only that time will hear stories about Armed Forces Special Power Act and all kind of in 2015-16 I'm talking about. So when they heard a very hopeful news of a lady auto driver winning herds, like doing her job, I think that really changed the paradigm of Manipur film, going a little positive. Yeah. So maybe that's why they give, as a Kickstarter to a courageous story like that, they gave me a tagline also. So, yeah, really so a memorable one for me.
Yes, definitely. And, even Achobi Love, I watched Achobi Love, actually. It was really nice, because we heard so much about the sad state of ponies in Manipur. Now, and all these three films, like which I've talked about just now, Autodriver, Andro Dreams, Ajobi Love. Now, what draws you telling these stories from the periphery of Manipur, particularly those centered on women?
And that's what I also sometimes I quiz myself so much. It's not that I'm too much into feminism, that I only want to do films on women. It's also not like that. I'm quite I believe in both genders and equality, but somehow I feel I get very comfortable and I get very touchy with when I hear stories from women. I feel that there's more emotional connect with the bonding and connect, that like I'm very good listener, like like when they're telling you something and I listened, and that became the kind of relationship I have with my characters and protagonists. It's just amazing. They become almost like family. And none of them will leave me, in the sense. For anything, any event or anything, they'll keep inviting me. Though I will try to make it, or sometimes it get difficult. But yeah, they have been more than my family, and so I end up.
It's a relationship, isn't it? Yeah, it's a relationship.
Yes.
I also read somewhere where you said that documentary film making is not just about going to the spot and shooting, but about developing relationships with subjects.
Totally.
Built and that kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so talking about it, in documentaries are usually very short, but I'm sure there are a lot of work and a lot of hours that go into it. So ideally, how much time did each of your films take?
While making it, I think Autodriver took around 3 years. Achobe in Love was 2.5 years, and the longest it took is Andro Dreams, which took like I started researching on it 2017 onwards, and I completed in 2023. It's almost 6 years. Yeah.
And also,
Yeah.
is it because you have to sort of have an ending? You wanted to see their progression, and so you're kind of monitoring their development.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, and everything is very organic. And also, sometimes, not everything I plan happens. So I let it take a very organic shape by itself, because after all, documentary is not fiction. It is all reality and factual stuff. And, I cannot really mold it how I want, because it is really, destiny also, how everything happens in some kind of stories. And yeah, it is me to weave it in a way that would really bring out the best, way to tell people of who they are, what they are, and what they're doing, and why this story is important. So yeah.
And of course, the creativity part is huge. But is there money in documentary filmmaking? Just curious.
No, so please, we
It's
need to do
creative
something on
satisfaction.
this. Really, we really need to do something on this, because it's I felt that each and every documentary that I have done is more like more like an active journalism, I would say.
Yeah.
More like a developmental journalism, I would say. And but I feel very I really don't think much about money at all, but I'm always happy and content with how the story have been have inspired people, impacted people, and have represented Manipur in a way the people have not seen Manipur before. So that kind of thing made me happy. And yeah, in terms of though, but finances are important. And only in my third documentary that after people have trusted my two previous documentary like Autodriver and Achobe in Love, that only in my third documentary I got somebody to fund me. Like it has been a crazy, crazy journey, because at a time when I thought I would almost take up the documentary because COVID happened, and then the situation, I also had a small cafe. I have to shut down, because there was this monetary crisis I was going through, and it was getting tough for me. So at that time, through a mutual friend, I got help from a woman from Dubai, who was willing to help me with the post-production money. And she have not even met me once. She said yes without even, seeing or without even talking to me. And it was so... Yeah. Yes, she completely trusted, and she believed the story, and that really motivated me a lot, and to do the story even better, to take every step very carefully, and in a way like I wouldn't be, in a sense, if it was just mine, maybe I would have been a little more clumsier, but it got, I think. Yeah, yeah. I think it got a little better than my, like, in a sense, in terms of, I would say how it's been, it has come out, everything. My post-production, I had a color corrector for the first time. I never had in my previous film. I had a kind of, a team, who will do my poster. I had somebody to help me with a very good, to grab a good editor. So, I mean, those things are very important factors.
Yeah. Yeah.
I upgraded, and that is the most finest thing, and hope inspires. So so always there are humans, like So I feel that have really catalytically that have really pushed me. Yeah. So gratifying. Yes, absolutely.
And tell me, how have your films been received in the international scene? And have you? I think you've screened in Korea, Japan, and a few places, isn't it?
Yeah, actually, for Korea, it is. Yes, actually, Korea, like Andro Dreams has been selected for this Korean International Ethnographic Film Festival, and it is going to be screened on 28th of December, this 2023. And they have, and it's an ethnographic film festival. And and I send most of my film through a site called Freeway, where you put all your, your content, your poster, your write-up, synopsis, everything there. And in a click of, like, you choose festivals around, and also there are festivals who also select, like, they also, contact you if they hear about the film, and they get any recommendation from other filmmakers. So that is how it works. And yeah, it got accepted at this film festival, and they already got it to translate into, subtitle into Korean subtitle. I've already sent them the English subtitle so that they can subtitle translate into Korean. And I think, that is quite interesting. We're all have been watching. Yeah, we all have been watching Korean movies, Korean classic here, and when they said they're interested in watching Andro Dreams as an ethnographic film, they want to subtitle it in Korean language. I mean, that's something a new high for me.
And it'll be interesting to see what the reactions will be. One last question.
Totally.
I have. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
One last question. As a filmmaker from the northeast, of India, what challenges and opportunities do you face in bringing stories of Manipur to a wider audience, both nationally and internationally?
The challenges is, of course, in terms of the fundings, and we don't have, we don't even have our own OTT platforms yet. Though I think Assam have already started one. And the other challenges will be, I'm just not even a handful, only very few women filmmakers in Manipur, but I wish more women filmmakers come out to tell plight and, pride of Manipur. And I feel, I'm quite lonely in that, and I want this to be filled up more. And other challenges would be, it's tough when sometimes the freedom of expression is cut off. It's being a little maimed in situations, sometimes, and because documentary is all about talking reality and talking what do you say? Like you talk unfazed of things you want to say, narrate. So it becomes really hard. Yeah, it becomes very hard for storyteller to make any compromise when it comes to reality and truthfulness. So that's where a little bit of hardship I face. Otherwise, it's so far. There is art and ways and means to tell stories, and I've learned a lot this time. So
Wonderful. So proud of you. Thank you very much for your time with the Indian Sun. I hope you continue to share more inspirational stories about Manipur to the world, to India. And, we through works of yours, we will come to know that, there's not all gloom and doom in Manipur, but there are other things to celebrate. Yeah. Thank you so much.